Hello everybody, good evening and welcome into DogZone, where on tonight's show we look forward to the Group 1 Wanganui Stayers. That takes place on Tuesday out of Hattrick Raceway. That's right, Melbourne Cup Day is when that takes place. Also, we turn our attentions to Addington Raceway and heats of the Christchurch Casino New Zealand Cup. 7 of those on Thursday and a massive 12 heats of the Fitz Sports Bar Galaxy to take place on Friday afternoon. Joining us as usual here on DogZone is Mark Rosanowski. Rozo, a massive week in greyhound racing about to get underway, including the Road to the Cup, which kicks off on Thursday.
Yeah, certainly, Andy. It doesn't matter how old and cynical you might get, and I'm hoping not to get too old and cynical, but one of them's inevitable. And every year, this year, if you've lost a bit of enthusiasm somewhere along the line, this time of the year does get you going. All codes of racing, but certainly greyhound racing, which obviously we're concentrating on here in the DogZone, Cup and Galaxy. Bit mind-blowing with the numbers of heats that we've got, but I just encourage people to breathe, have a coffee, a tea, whatever is their choice. Sit down, look through the markets, find themselves some value and have a bit of fun over the next couple of weeks.
Certainly some value to be had. Let's first turn our attention to the Group 1 Wanganui Stayers. This takes place on Tuesday out there at Hattrick Raceway. And here's a look at the market for you, where in an even affair, Opawa Hillary has come up as a $3.40 favourite. Over Kamada Park at $3.80, and then you're out to Hot Platter at $4.80. Rozo, any value in that market that you can see?
I would say, Andy, if anyone is a fan of Grunty Mama, and why wouldn't you necessarily be on the heat run from her, 30 to 1 or whatever they offer you for top 3 would be the way to go. Now, I haven't got her in the top 4, but it's wonderful for Sue and Court Blackburn to have her in there, and the way she's been going the last couple of weeks, and on her breeding, a sister to Race Me Home and by Buddy Broke, who was a Group 2 distance winner and Group 1 placed. She is overs without question, even though, as I say, I haven't got her in the top 4. And it's quite difficult because we're going to look through the heats, Andy, and the heats threw up a few question marks, and then the draw threw up more question marks.
Yeah, it certainly did. It hasn't made things easy, but like you say, to Sue and Court Blackburn, a big effort to get the mama through to the final. Also, Sade Hunt with a Ling, who's a one-race winner as well, getting through his first reserve, so a big effort to both of them. Here's heat number 1. This was taken out by Hot Platter. She was in the blue rug here of box number 4. Chases down Don't Knock a G, who again in the final, Rozo, is one of 2 likely pacemakers in it, so paints for the Platter to get a pretty good run early.
Yes, well, that's the key for the Platter. Look, if she'd drawn in close, I would have been all over her. I'm sure I would have had her on top. The wide draw, even though she's drawn outside the pace, which is going to help, I still, it does worry me just a little. I do see Don't Knock a G improving, and key to note too, Andy, that Don't Knock a G will run over 645 metres on Friday night at Hattrick, so look out for that. She took a wee bump on the corner there as well. Grunty Mama dashing to second that we've talked about. G staggering into 3rd, but she'll improve further through Friday's race. And Andy, I'll leave you to talk about No Anxiety. She stumbled at the start. She was a mile off them, and she did her best Swift Fantasy impersonation by getting up to qualify. It was remarkable for Gary Cleave.
It appeared to be one of the runs of the race. If you wind that video on, she ends up being first to the lure, No Anxiety. She came from an absolutely hopeless position. And Rozo, I think the big thing about these Southerners, they're probably the big improvers. They had a pretty rocky travel plan to get there. I think they arrived on course half an hour before heat number 1. So all of the Southerners that have made the final, certainly the big improvers.
No question, Andy, and we'll talk about that in the second heat, because I'm very much pinning my hopes on that being the case for Opawa Hillary. I did talk to Steve Marr on Monday at Manawatu. He was the man who picked the dogs up and rushed them to the track effectively. The Southerners, look, they did very well to get there, and they did very well to race, I think, as well as they did. Opawa Hillary did find the top here. Look at Kamada Park in the blue, sneaking into it after a slowish beginning. Others to watch out for, Opawa June, who sort of loses her place mid-race but comes again. She's got good 7.55 form, and Gold Star Sydney in the red rug, who runs on. Hillary in front at the moment. That's DJ Dynamics, who's over 6.45 on Friday, the brother to Don't Knock a G, going a big race fresh. Kamada Park sweeps on by. Andy, leading into this race, my concern around Kamada Park was the fact that on debut he won his maiden at Hattrick in 30.34, and he hadn't won a 9 starts since there, and it looked decidedly average on a couple of those. but he was quite outstanding there galloping right away. His form now reads 1-8-1-7-1-6-1. Apawa June was second, of course, in the Group 2 recently on the track over the trip behind Perfect Result, who's not in this series. And Opawa Hillary, Andy, on what you said there in terms of the travel, which clearly was far from ideal for the Southerners with the delay to their boat, I am pinning my hopes on her because we know the ability she's got, being in better shape this coming Tuesday night.
Yeah, certainly would seem that she's one of the biggest improvers out of it. Rosso, just in terms of the run to the first turn, what are your thoughts between her and Don't Knock a G? Who leads, and is there a chance they get in each other's face early?
Yeah, there is that chance, Andy, and that's just one of the many things I had to weigh up in making some selections here. And it is one of those cases where I could easily have actually changed selections quite dramatically. I was sort of teetering on the edge, but what I am thinking is that G can beat Hillary there, but Hillary will be leaning across on her and they can potentially open it up for Hot Platter. With Kamada Park, I know his form line maps, the sequence says he'll run fifth. Look, off the inside and drawn underneath No Anxiety and Grunty Mama, it's hard to see that he just doesn't get a decent run. Don't Knock a G, I think, will be better for the run, and a 6:45 on Friday as well. Andy, you're also going Kamada Park. The key thing about your picks, no Opawa Hillary.
It's one of those funny situations where after the heat I was having her on top no matter what, but gee, the way the draw comes up, I think things could get a little bit ugly for her very early on. So gone for the two Angela Turnwald prepared runners who I think will get a pretty uninterrupted run into this first turn in Kamada Park and Hot Platter. I think Gold Star Sydney maps to get a nice run as well, and I thought her heat run was okay. Again, a big improver after that trip, and in behind those No Anxiety, who I don't think she could win the race, but certainly she'll be storming home late in the piece and could fill a first four position. So that's a look at the Wanganui Stayers. It's now time to turn our attention towards Christchurch and the running of the Christchurch Casino New Zealand Cup heats. This is a look at the overall market for the futures winner. This is option 657. Favourite Dinah Dave at $5, Penny Mac at $9, Rosso, the rest of them in double figures, which means there is some value there to be had if you can find it.
There is, and I'll be interested in your thoughts as to whether you have. I'm happy with Dinah Dave's $5 for backup bet. Look, the two dogs I'd be tempted to back here, Dinah Dave and M Grand Park, $5, $10. Nice round figures, makes it easy for me to make my stake. $18 around Big Time Cooper. Look, they're taking a risk going straight into the semi without the dog having a run on the track. He's going to race at Hattrick on Friday night. But the thinking from the kennel is that he went to the Waterloo Cup at Manukau and he picked the jump first up. And okay, ultimately he ran fourth, but he's still a young dog. Fourth in a Group 1 race, first up on a track is, you know, come on. We're marking him hard if we're saying that's a poor run. He's already a Group 1 winner, of course, on his home track, or sort of his home track, one of his home tracks at Hattrick. Andy, because he goes straight into the semi-final, he picks the jump there's trouble in behind. He goes into the final as top two out of those semis. $18 looks amazing under any circumstances, so I'd be tempted to have a wee pick there. But how about you? Have you spotted some value in there?
I think it's hard because Dinah Dave, if he cops a run, he's going to be pretty hard to beat, especially if he can cop a draw going through the series as well. Obviously, he's drawn awkward in the first round, but I'd be pretty tempted to play the place market around some of these dogs who know Addington well. Obviously, anyone who's tuned into the show or listened to me babbling on at Addington will know I'm a pretty big fan of No Refusal. He's $21 to run a place. I don't think he could win the race, but if he made that final, he's certainly going to be going around as sort of $3 or $4 a place, and 21 seems fairly big overs for me. And I think anything you're playing, you can play on a 1/3, 1/4 type basis and cover your bet there if your dog does run a place in the final. Right, time now to have a look through the heats of the Christchurch Casino New Zealand Cup. Here's heat number 1, where your favourite is Penny Mac at $2.40. We've also got Go Vegas in the market at $3.50 and M Grand Park at $4.20. M Grand Park is the greyhound we're going to take you back to have a look at. This is him winning the Amazing Chase Consolation. He's the dog in the black and white stripes of box number 2. Rosso gets a beautiful run into this first turn. He clocks 30 dead, gets home in 12.05, which shows his strength, and if he can get clear air early, he has to be a big chance.
Yes, look, there were some nice dogs in behind here. We had dogs like Diddley and Start the Show in here. Sailor Allen's run second. Look, he got a perfect run around that first bend. It was a small field. He was drawn closer in. Box 7 is not ideal for him. And if you're backing him in a futures market, he needs to be getting a decent run 3 weeks in a row effectively. Because probably about top 4 are going to go through here to the semis, Andy, then you're relying obviously on him, I think, getting through even if he gets a poor run because of his strength. And then into the semis, you hope that he gets a decent draw. He's also won a South Island Championship heat there. He's coming south off the back of a Manawatu Cup win and also a win where he was miles off the pace at Hattrick and got up and won. No time, but a really good performance from him. He's got the ability to win a big race. He was favourite for the Wanganui Cup where things went wrong at the first bend. So I think M Grand Park squeaks through this week and builds from there.
Obviously another greyhound we need to touch on, the Northerner and Penny Mac for Steve Clark. Rozzo, he's a greyhound we don't see race often these days. There he is on screen when he came down for a crack at the Amazing Chase, scintillating to the back mark as we have expected from him in the past. He draws to get a good run off the wide with no real speed to his immediate inside, and on paper he looks the greyhound to beat.
Yes, well, he was 29.94 in a Cup semi last year. He ran 6th in the final, certainly didn't get all favours. Amazing chase, good time from him there. Trialling in obviously a match race, but finishing second in behind Dinah Dave. So, look, great to have Penny Mac down. He's clearly a chance to be the overall winner on what he has done so far. A Waterloo Cup winner himself. Should be getting through the first heat. 3 Class 5s have drawn the outside 3 boxes here, Andy. I hope they all go through. Big Time Seth is the other one, first up on the track. He's a dog's been racing without luck lately, including his 5th in the Waterloo Cup, where he could easily, with a little luck turning for home, got on the podium there.
Yeah, you certainly could. They do draw to get some room. Dinah Quark on occasions can just cannon down towards the rail, so hopefully those 3 get an uninterrupted run into that first turn, and from there they should be running top 3 with the best of the local hopes probably around dogs like Go Vegas, who's run a pretty handy low 30 seconds, but he'll find 1 or 2 of those a little bit fast for him, you would imagine. Right, on to heat number 2. This will be race number 6 on Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening, 5:59. It gets underway. Favourite is Opawa Deal at $3.20. She's for us $3.80. We've got Double Speed, Tap Out Bill and Blazing Carter all in the market as well. Another CD canine making her way down will be She's for Us for Matt Roberts, and she comes up with a good draw on paper, box number 3, but Rozzo, the big concern for her, Double Speed in the 1, although his inside record is tidy, he does move off the rail a few widths into the turn, so she needs to clear him. But if she does that, we know she can run time at Addington Raceway after the Amazing Chase, and she probably looks the greyhound to beat here in heat number 2.
Yeah, I thoroughly agree with you. It's Double Speed is the only concern here. I'm pretty keen on She's for Us in this, and box 3 nice for her, but it's the one dog that could be an issue for her. So that is the key, obviously, to this race, She's for Us. But I think at those odds, I'm prepared to take that risk on.
Interesting runners going around is the 7 Bertie Allen, who's a greyhound with ability. Of course, he won a heat of the Auckland Cup before being put out. He's can be a little bit erratic at time, but does have some ability. And obviously the favourite in Opawa Deal, who's won 9 from 13 around Addington, but comes up with an awkward draw for that heat. Right, heat number 3 will be the next race we look at. This will be race number 7 on the card. Favourite here and a warm one is Spring Falcon at $1.75. Ringside $3.40. Everything else in double figures, including Rozzo, no refusal. Me old favourite, he's going around at $14.
No, good for you. And on Bertie Allen, he's 100 to 1, so you could slip $1 on Bertie Allen. If there was a 100 to 1 shot that could win it, it would be him. Ringside resuming is going to be the key. Andy, runner-up in the Auckland Cup. We know how good he can be. He probably finds the right race. Dinah Allen draws the inside. Last New Zealand Cup night, he ran faster than the New Zealand Cup winner. We know the ability he's got, but again, not coming into this particular race with any form credentials. So, Andy, I'm going to throw it right back at you. I've been watching Spring Falcon. It's a different, it's always a different scenario, beating your own grade and then stepping up against the very experienced dogs. But your thoughts on Spring Falcon producing in this particular, not just in this particular heat, because I think it's a safe heat for Spring Falcon to get through, but the potential of going forward.
I think you're right, and we'll talk about it with Bolty a little bit later on as well. They come through the grades where there's not the same hustle-bustle they get into the first turn. Clearly the heat, he looks the greyhound to beat. He should make his way through. He's a sub-30-second dog, but gee, he's going to have to just be at the top of his game early on come semi-finals day to be top two to make his way through. Clearly a greyhound of the future is Spring Falcon, and we'll certainly be taking notes on what he can do. Right, time to move on to heat number 4 now. This will be race number 8 on the card, and here's a look at the market for it, where Dinah Dave is your $1.65 favourite, Diddley in the market at $4.20, and then $9 around Gem and Go Glow. Dinah Dave, Rozzo, second last year. Obviously the greyhound we always talk about, and he's still yet to win a Group 1, and I think this would be a perfect Group 1 to nail as his first.
Oh, look, I hope so. It's setting up quite nicely for him. Yep, he's got another awkward draw that he had last week. His record out wide's actually okay, but of course it does make him more beatable, shall we say, drawing out there, and it certainly did again last week, and of course he didn't get through in the prelude. But look, if we're looking at around a top 4 scenario going through, he should be safe this week, Andy, and I think we can just move on with him. He's a deserving favourite for the overall series, there's no question.
No doubt about it. Obviously the greyhound who's come up with the best of the draws in this heat is Diddley. He not only slots into the 1, but there appears to be no immediate pressure on him from the outside with a dog like Gem, who's usually slow away, Barrel Runner slow away and can use up a little bit of the track, and Big Time Shadow having his first look. Rozzo, the form line attached doesn't look flash, but to be fair to him, he was unlucky in a heat of the Waterloo Cup, and he probably should have made his way through to that final.
Yes, and he has been under an injury cloud, Andy, but I'm told from the kennel this week he's good to go. He gets back to Addington where he's 3 from 4. This is him at Manukau winning the Auckland Cup. He won the Group 1 St Ledger. You could argue it's a soft Group 1. It's a new Group 1, or back to Group 1. So, but his form, he ran 30.09 on Cup night last year. Diane Alwyn was fastest that night, 29.92. Bago bye-bye in the Cup, 30 flat. And from then on, and every time he's gone back to Addington, he has produced Diddley, and he gets the right heat here, Andy. Only other dog I'd mention here is Federal Impact, a 410-metre winner at Manawatu. This dog early on, Andy, ran some serious times. His first 2 starts at Sandown Park. He is a serious animal. But whether the stars are going to align for him right now, I don't know. But again, it's a heat that he can get through, and there will be improvement.
There certainly will be. It's now time to move on to heat number 5. This will be race number 9 on the card come Thursday evening. Here's a look at the market for you, where the favourite has come up as Pills R Us. It's $2.30 for the Cleve team. Rivalries in the market $2.70. Then you're out to Nature's Gent and Opawa Nat. The Gent is who we're taking you back to have a look at. This is him winning the South Island Champs. He was good on this occasion when drawing the inside. Obviously, Rozzo, he's the old warhorse. He was the winner of this race 2 years ago, which is a big effort to Ange and Paul and the team there that have kept him up for this long. Box 5 won't make things easy for him, but gee, he's a greyhound you can never rule out.
No, and he's a thinking greyhound, and again, I think he's in a prime position to go through the first round by finishing effectively in the top half of the field. He's more than capable of that on his recent form, as he's rising 5 with $250,000 in the bank. I just love this story. I want this dog to get through to the final as much as I do, obviously, Dinah Dave. But in 2017, he was able to do it. He did it off box number 4. Age, well, it catches up with us all, Andy, but this dog's still able to perform, not to this level necessarily, but still he'll make the semis, I do believe. He got knocked out in the semis last year. I think there's a chance he can pick a draw, hopefully in the semi, and make the final, and that will be a tremendous story for the Bookie and Us Syndicate and the Angela Turnbull team.
Yeah, certainly will. The favourite there is Pills R Us, and gee, since crossing the Tasman, she's been good. She's broken the 30-second barrier here at Addington in the past, and she was unlucky at her last start at Forbury. Put a line through that. She's much better than that performance. She's a greyhound who should be able to make her way somewhere near the early lead here, and from there she's certainly a chance, and she should be making her way through to the semis as well. Rivalries, maybe just a little bit short for mine in this heat. He was okay at his last start. He levelled up to Opawa Toddy and just ran beside him for the length of the straight, so he certainly needs to improve a little bit off that, but he's going around relatively short there in that heat. Right, on to heat number 6 now. This will be race number 10 on the card. Here's a look at the market, and Uther Bale, he's come up as a $2.60 favourite for this. Others in the market there, Opawa Toddy at $5 and Dynavasity at $5.50. Uther's the one we're going to take you back to have a look at. This is him winning his last start. Gets the job done off box number 3 here in the white rug. Rosso, this is a Class 1 race. He wasn't the best away. Plenty of room early to move. Gee, if he does that against these, he could be in a spot of bother.
Oh, look, there's no question. I'd imagine they're very tough markets to price up with dogs that are running times down in the grades, and we know, Andy, we see it time after time when they come in, race against the big bangers. Experienced dogs might not necessarily be as quick, but things can change very quickly. Uther Bale had to re-qualify after running second on debut, but has gone 3 straight since, Andy. This is a heat where there are 3 young dogs well worth a look at. Big Time Maple's one who up my way, Andy's been going exceptionally well, chasing home Big Time Cooper in a prelude. Didn't have to run in the heats, but she's going to get that opportunity. She's very young. This is her last Friday night, again chasing home Big Time Cooper. She does move off the rail a little. She's drawn outside Bahama Queen, who does too. And that, of course, is going to help Sakichi. Andy, Big Time Maple for a greyhound who doesn't turn 2 until January has a very exciting future ahead on what she's done the last couple of weeks at Hattrick. As I say, that's the flying machine, and Group 1 winner Big Time Cooper just clinging on from her, and she runs through the line like Addington's 520 might not be a problem. And Andy, I think Sakichi off the inside for Peter Ferguson's shown enough in the north, gets box 1 underneath Bahama Queen and Big Time Maple, should be getting a nice run off the inside.
Yeah, she certainly could. I'm with you around Big Time Maple. I think she offers the value there and should be playable on an each-way basis, $8.50. So I think if she hadn't cut off the heels of Cooper into the first turn there, she would have been a lot closer to the winner. So, yeah, she certainly represents some value there. And Opawa Toddy, another up-and-comer who's won 5 from 11 at Addington, and he comes up with an awkward draw, but another one on his way to better things. Right, the 7th and final heat of the Christchurch Casino New Zealand Cup will be race number 11 on the card. This one to get underway at 8:05. Favourite here, Robson at $3. Max Dancer in the market, as is Big Time Rod and Opawa Rooster. Robson, the greyhound we're going to take you back to have a look at. This is him winning the Waterloo Cup. He had the gold rug of box number 5 on this occasion. He was able to pick the jump, get straight to the lead, but Rozzo, the big concern around him, gee, there seems to be 2 of this dog going around at the moment, the one who turns up and the one who doesn't.
He just keeps us on our toes, doesn't he? Big Time Cooper leading here. Others in here, Dinah Dave, of course, an amazing second. Big Time Rod finished at the tail. But look at him explode here. He goes past goes past Big Time Cooper, does Robson. Look at Seth get on the heels of Cooper there that cost him a spot on the podium. And away he goes. Now, since then, look, I know it was a messy affair, the prelude up there, but there were only 6 dogs in it. And I know he had to change his line in the straight, but I still thought he might have got up for second, but he didn't anyway. And then he went to Cambridge and gave us nothing there. But anyway, this is a heat that he should be qualifying in, and I really hope he goes through because he looks to be in the top sort of 4 dogs in the entire series, Andy, and I want to see them all progress.
He certainly does. He gets his chance, as you say, to make his way through to the semis. Big Time Rod off the inside. He's been in handy enough form of late, or for a long time, to be fair. And Rozzo, he comes up with box number 1. He looks a chance as well.
Yes, Andy, although I'm concerned about him. He hasn't quite been the same since that Waterloo Cup last. And I've got to say, last week, I couldn't find anything about him to like. Seth ran away from him late, so I'm not sure about Rod, but you'd like to think off box 1 he'd get through. And of course, Max Dance is in there, who was favourite in a Group 1 St Leger that Diddley won. And look, she did run last that time, but she's coming into this in reasonable form, Andy. Looking forward to these 7 heats.
They're going to be super, no doubt about that. Now time to move on to the Fitz Sports Bar Galaxy, also at Group 1 level. Rozzo, there's the market. Bolty at $4. Everything else in double figures. So again, the potential to find something on a 1/3 type basis.
Well, here he is, Bolty, 6 from 6. And Andy, I really feel the Galaxy needed Bolty to be in here because we've got 12 heats, a lot of dogs that can all run about the same sorts of times. Mustang Tully, 1 run in this country. Buddy Boom's been a boom sprinter for a while, but comes in under a cloud. Select Tricks new, and Sir Dougie's the winner last year on the way back, Andy. So there's enough talking points, but it's pretty hard to bet into the market when you've got a dog who's been climbing up the grades as a $4 favourite.
Obviously no time to go through each of these heats here on the show tonight, but here's a look at heat number 5, where we see the Northern Star and Buddy Boom going around. We're going to take you back to have a look at what he did at Addington when having a look here a wee while ago. He was off the 7 here of the Black Rug. He gets around here to second, chasing She's a Ripper. Gets completely lost off the track. He finds his compass again and chases hard up the straight. Had a trial here yesterday, Jared bringing the team down, and he trialled 17:30, his first trial since things went terribly wrong for him at Auckland. So lucky to be back in time for this, and has trialled up at Addington. Heat number 6, and we get to see Sir Dougie go around in this. He comes up with the gold rug of box number 5. This is his last start, where he ran second out there at Hattrick Raceway off the inside of box 1. And Rozzo, last year's winner, certainly not in that form, but we know how good he is.
He's heading in the right direction. He's 4.5. He's had a couple of serious injuries since he won this, one in the railway and one not so long ago that he's... Look, they've done it ever so well to get him back. He's been bombed by Big Time Billy, who's going to go round in heat 1 there. 6.91 lead up. He's not at his best really from box number 1. Some of his trial splits have been faster than that, Andy. OK, box number 5. I think he can get through this first round. He's definitely headed in the right direction. You wouldn't think he'd win overall this year, given what he's been through in his age, but hey, who knows? As we've said, outside of Bolty, these others appear to be much of a muchness, and Sir Dougie's been class for a long time.
Heat number 9 will be race number 9 on the card, and here we see an interesting runner go around in the form of Select Trick, who's first up in the country for Callum Weir. We'll take you back to give you a look at one of her Aussie performances. She did complete satisfactory trial. She's in the blue rug here, by the way, racing to the early lead. Completed a satisfactory trial here in 17 and 25. Talked to Callum, has trialled 5.75, 17.05 in the past. She has only been here for 3 or 4 weeks, so she's certainly a greyhound with speed, and at 16s and 4.75 she looks playable on an each-way basis. Just quickly on Callum as well, Rocket Raccoon going around in a heat. He's fresh up after tearing a Gracilis, 5.80, 17.20 he's been trialling, so is in with some kind of chance. And Bolty, he goes around in race number 12, the final of the heats. He is an absolute up-and-coming superstar, there's no doubt about that. He's broken the 17 seconds on more than one occasion. And at his last start, 17.06, Rozzo on a day where the Class 4 and 5s were getting nowhere near as fast as he clocked.
Just amazing what this dog's doing. I can't remember a start to a career like this in all my time, Andy. I frankly can't. 17.14 qualifying, 17.10 on debut. That's been his slowest time, as fast as 16.87, twice under 17 seconds. Smallest winning margin was that, nearly 7 lengths. Yep, major step up. But racing against dogs who cannot run as fast as him should get through the first round box 8. Key's going to be, Andy, if he gets into a semi or a final where he draws 4 or 5 against some gnarly campaigners. But this series needs Bolty, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to see him turning out there for Daniel Lane.
Yeah, certainly will be interesting, and he adds that little bit of spice that the Galaxy certainly needed. Well, that's all we've got time for here on DogZone. Rozzo, thanks for your time, and it's certainly going to be a big week.
Yes, with all of those heats and with the Wanganui distance Tuesday night, that's Melbourne Cup Day. Doesn't get much better.
You are right there. That's all we've got time for. We'll be back next week with more reviews and previews of greyhound racing from around the country. But until then, happy punting.